front camera. I'll sit there. And we'll do that. I'll have to find my tripod later. I don't know what I did with it. Sorry. Okay. So let's just start with multiplication of fractions. We'll start out with the most simplest ones so I can teach you the concept. So we're gonna have 1/2 times 5/4. Now when multiplying, all you have to do, remember addition and subtraction, we had to get a common denominator. Remember last week we did that. So with multiplication, you don't have to do that. It's actually a little easier than addition and subtraction. All you need to do is multiply straight across. So you multiply numerator to numerator and denominator to denominator. So 1 times 5 is 5, and 2 times 4 is 8, giving us the answer of 5/8. And then if you can reduce, you reduce it. But I'm actually going to teach you a quicker way to reduce it before you even get your final answer. But stay tuned, because this one actually doesn't have to be reduced. So your answer is just 5/8. One more for you. 1/4 times 5/3. Again, you just multiply straight across. 1 times 5, 4 times 3. 1 times 5 is 5, and 4 times 3 is 12. So you get 5/12 for your answer. Okay, very good. So that's multiplying. So now let's teach you something where you can reduce within the problem. So if I were to do this problem, 10, and I would do it like I taught you, you just multiply straight across. 10 times 11 is 110, and then 3 times 6 is 18. Well, now we have a really, really, really big fraction, and we know it can be reduced because they're both even numbers, so we at least know 2 goes into both of those. But what if I taught you a way, instead of having to get this really big number and then reducing it, what if I taught you a way to reduce within the problem? It's called cross-reduction, and I'll show you. 10/3 times 11/6. So 10/3 times 11/6. So what you want to do is you want to see your diagonals, your cross products here. So 10 and 6, if they can be reduced, if they have a common factor, a number that they can both be divisible by without getting a decimal, then you can reduce there. So 10 and 6, I know they can both be divided by 2. So I'm going to divide 10 by 2 and get 5, and divide 6 by 2 and get 3. So then I have a new problem, and now I can multiply straight across, and I will get my answer. 5 times 11 is 55, and 3 times 3 is 9. So now instead of getting 110 18ths, I get 55 9ths, and I know it's reduced because I reduced within the problem. 3 and 11 don't have any common factors, so I couldn't cross-reduce there. Now what we have is what we call an improper fraction. I didn't do this lesson because it should have been before addition and subtraction, multiplication and division. But changing this into a mixed fraction, depending on what your teacher wants you to do, because this is a simplified answer, it's not wrong. But if your teacher wants you to change it to a mixed fraction, basically you divide. 9 goes into 55, how many times? It goes in 6 times, because 6 times 9 is 54. So 6 times 9 is 54. We want to get to 55. That's 1 left over. So that would be our numerator. And then we keep the same denominator. Okay? So there you go. That's cross-reducing. We'll try another one, though. I love cross-reducing because I hate getting big numbers at the very end. It's much easier to just reduce within the problem. So here, if you check your diagonals, 1 and 10, they don't have a common factor. But 3 and 9, they do have a common factor. They have a common factor of 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. And now we can just multiply straight across. 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 times 10 is 10. So we get our answer 3/10. And that is not an improper, so we don't even have to change it. That's just our answer, 3/10. Let's try one more cross-reducing. 6/11 times 3/10. So with this one, we want to check 3 and 11 don't have a common factor, but 6 and 10 do. They can both be divided by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now we just multiply straight across. 3 times 3 is 9, and 11 times 5 is 55. So 9/55. Okay? Awesome. Now let's multiply mixed fractions. If I have 2 times 3/7, like the whole number 2, all we need to do is change this whole number to a fraction. You could change any whole number to a fraction by putting it over 1. Okay? So I'm going to rewrite it so I can line up my numerators and my denominators. 2/1, because 2/1 divided by 1 is just 2. So that's why you can put any whole number over 1. 2/1 times 3/7, multiply straight across. Well, let's check for cross reducing first. 2 and 7 don't have a common factor. 1 and 3 do not have a common factor. So we can't reduce it. So 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 7 is 7. We get the answer 6/7. Okay, now let's try another one that actually has 2 mixed numbers. There's a hair on my mouth. There we go. Hold on. I got hair in my mouth. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Ugh. Okay, so we have 2 mixed numbers, 2 and 2/3 times 4 and 1/4. So before you multiply mixed numbers, you have to change them to improper. So you can have just a numerator over a denominator, okay? You can't do 2 times 4 is 8, and 2/3 and 1/4 is 2/12. That would give you the wrong answer, okay? So you need to change them to improper. To do that, like I said, I haven't gone over this, but to do it really quickly, you just multiply the whole number by the denominator and then add the numerator. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. And then you just keep the same denominator, 8/3, times 4 times 4 is 16. Add the numerator, 17. So 17/4. And then we check to see if we can cross reduce. Now we have a multiplication problem like we've seen. So I could cross reduce here. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then I get 2 times 17 is 34, and 3 times 1 is 3. Again, I have an improper fraction. If your teacher wants you to change it to a mixed number, all you do is have to divide it. 3 goes into 34 11 times, because 11 times 3 is 33. And 34 minus 33, that gives us 1 left over. And we keep the same denominator. Let's try some division. What if I have 1/6 divided by 8/11? Now division only has one extra step than multiplication, okay? I teach my kids keep, change, flip. And if you were in my class, I would actually tell you how we got keep, change, flip. Maybe at the end, if you want me to, I'll tell you how this came about, keep, change, flip. But for right now, for the sake, this means that we keep the first one, we change division to multiplication, and then we flip the second fraction, which is basically what we call a reciprocal. You need to know that word, reciprocal. You flip the fraction. 8/11 and 11/8 are what we call reciprocals. So keep the first one, change this to multiplication, and flip it. And then we have a multiplication problem just like we did. We check for cross reduction. 1 and 8, 6 and 11, they don't have common factors. So we just multiply it like normally. 1 times 11 is 11. 6 times 8 is 48. So we get 11/48. Awesome. Let's do another one. One more of that. 1/3 divided by 2/9. So we keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. And then we just multiply. First, you want to check for cross reduction. 3 and 9 do have a common factor. Can both be divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 1 times 3 is 3. And then 1 times 2 is 2. So you get 3 halves. It's an improper fraction. You can change it to a mixed fraction if you want. 2 goes into 3 one time with 1 left over. So 1 and 1/2. Okay, let's do mixed fractions. Again, it's the same as multiplying. We cannot divide mixed fractions. You have to change them into improper. So 1 1/5 divided by 2 3/4. Change it to improper by multiplying the whole number by the denominator. 1 times 5, adding the numerator, plus 1 is 6. So we get 6/5 divided by 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11/4. Now we check for cross-reducing. 5 and 11 do not have a common factor. 6 and 4 do. They can both be divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now I can just multiply straight across. Actually, no, I can't. It's still division. Sorry about that. Oop, I actually messed up. Go back. I forgot to keep, change, flip first. 6/5 divided by 8. We all make mistakes. It's okay. I'm glad I caught myself before I taught you something wrong. 6/5 divided by 8, 9, 10, 11/4, right? Okay, now you have to keep, change, flip. So keep, change, flip. So 6/5 times 4/11. And then you just multiply straight across, because cross-reducing 6 and 11, no. 5 and 4, no common factor. When I say no common factor, we obviously know that they have a common factor of 1. But all numbers have a common factor of 1, and if you divide anything by 1, it just gives you that answer. The same thing. So 6 times 4 is 24, and 5 times 11 is 55. So 24 divided by 55. Let's do one more. Mess that one up. 3 2/3 divided by 2 1/6. Let's change this to improper. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. 11/3 divided by 2 times 6 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. 13/6. Now you have to do the keep, change, flip. Don't do what I did last time. Now you have to do the keep, change, flip because it's division. So keep, change, flip. Keep the 11/3, change to multiplication, and flip this 13/6 to 6/13. And now you can cross-reduce because I see that 3 and 6 have a common factor of 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 11 times 2 is 22. And 1 times 13 is 13. So we get 22/13. Again, if your teacher wants you to change it to a mixed fraction, you just say, how many times does 13 go into 22 without going over? Well, 1 time, because 13 times 2 would give you 26. So 1 time with 9 left over. And then you keep the same denominator. Cool. I'm going to turn you guys back around just to see your comments about fractions. And then I will teach scientific notation.